Hello everyone, me Mudahar, and welcome to another episode of Haunted Gaming. This time we have a creepypasta called Fallout 2 Secret Ending. I assume most people here are playing Fallout 4 already. Great game, but it's best to always look at some of the classics here and there, and well, you can't get more classic than the second title. So what is so creepy about the secret ending to Fallout 2? Heck, what isn't creepy about that game if you really look at it? That being said, let's find out what this secret ending in Fallout 2 really has to offer. So without keeping you here for too long, let's dive right into this creepypasta. In Fallout 2, after you beat the game, you can continue playing. Remember the defunct vault near the beginning? The one with the toxic sludge on the ground and the elevator where you kill golden geckos? It's called Toxic Caves. On the world map, it is clearly a small vault with only 3 levels, including the first cave level, where you take the ladder down to the actual vault structure. Well, if you have one of the original pressings of the game, and you haven't patched it, you can return to the Toxic Caves after the game is over. And if you have the item Heart Pills from the Weston Murder Quest, you can kill yourself in the elevator. After the usual death scene plays, the screen will stay black with the menu screen opening up. After several minutes, you'll begin to hear an echoey, hollow, Brownian voice. Cave sort of sound. The screen will slowly fade back in to find your character in a pile of that nasty biomass goo that was all around the master from the first game. Your character will stand up and the usual ambient soundtrack will start playing, but the brown noise will still be there. Explore this new level, but do not pick any locks. Those areas are off limits and the developers put some very nasty programming tricks into the code to protect their secrets. As you continue further down the level, you're going to hear this Brownian noise continue to increase in volume, and the ambient soundtrack you were so used to will exhibit strange artifacts. This may be because of the difficulty of playing 2 music tracks simultaneously in the Fallout engine, which wasn't designed to be able to do this, by the way. Passing locked door after locked door, you'll come across many of the characters you met earlier in the game. Oddly, you only find characters that died, or that would be reasonably expected to die after you last saw them. Like the official endings, the characters found vary depending on how you played the game. Say if you were a good guy and tried to solve problems without violence, you'll only find a few bad guys and unfortunate victims here. If you slaughtered every town, you're going to see several hundred. Regardless of what you did earlier, none of the characters will speak to you or react to you in any way. They can't be pickpocketed, killed, pushed aside, or healed. If you try to use first aid, doctor, or any healing items on them, the game will tell you in the text box. It's much too late for that, Chosen. It would appear that this area is purgatory or possibly hell. Based on being populated entirely by dead characters, the final character standing just before the final door is always a player character model from the first Fallout. This is the only character that you can interact with, and as you approach, the Brownian noise reaches a crescendo, and the ambient music abruptly cuts out. If you simply bypass them and open the door, the game will play the end credits once again, only with pictures of Hiroshima and Nagasaki victims in the background. This is an extremely poor taste, and many have wondered why the creators could actually be so insensitive. When asked, they deny the sequence exists and call it a hack that was never in the game at all. After it ends, though, you are greeted with the typical game over screen and are booted to the desktop. If you talk to the final character, it'll explain to you that he is in fact the Vault Dweller from the original game, your ancestor. He will tell you that he is disappointed in a way you turned out, and he'll turn his back on you and your character will collapse into a pile of bones in a death animation that I've never seen in the game itself. Afterwards, the game will fade to white to lock up the computer, forcing a hard reset. Now there is a third option. Those locked doors I mentioned earlier, there's one door, and it's always random as to which door, but if you get lucky in picking, you can use any heavy explosives to blow it open. Inside, you'll find a single footlocker. Hold a 10mm pistol with no clip in the picture, and no ammo in it. None of your normal 10mm ammo can be used. You can load the gun with the Easter egg found in the basement of the new Renault Arms. Fire this into the head of the first character, and the game will cut to an over-the-shoulder video showing a young man playing an unidentified Fallout-like game. Some people claim this is an early version of either Fallout Tactics or Van Buren, but nothing on the screen seems to fit either of those games. Also, neither of those games had started development at the time of the original pressing of Fallout 2. The video itself is poorly lit, with the apparent intention of being a creepy filter. But nothing spooky actually happens in the video. The man simply plays the unknown game and the video slowly fades into your desktop. A cool trick! I'm not really sure how they managed a gradually translucing screen back then, but whatever. Another strange trick is that, according to many players, the final character always matches the character they most played recently in Fallout 1. Both gender and their apparent apparel at the end of the previous game are actually represented. At first, this would appear to be a save game hack, much like Psycho Mantis in Metal Gear Solid, but the trick works even if the original Fallout was played on a different computer without transferring any data to the new PC. It's recommended that you do not turn on any televisions in your house for several hours after experiencing this extra ending. You'll quickly realize that the Brownian noise in the game is identical to the noise now coming from your television, cable, satellite, and even antenna. So if you still have that, or all somehow incapable of picking up a signal for some time after the secret ending, all internet connections, however, seem to work. That's how I'm writing this to you. The funny thing is, I turned my television back off nearly an hour ago, as well as my computer speakers, but I still hear the static getting louder. Well, that was something, ladies and gentlemen. In the vein of Fallout 4's release, one cannot look about the franchise for all of its wonder. Truly, they have all been amazing titles, whether you get them from Interplay or Bethesda. You'll typically get a good game, if you dip into the Fallout franchise. Now, as far as this one goes, let me say that for all the weird stuff Fallout 2 has, hell, weird stuff in every game in general, on first glance, this creepypasta has some reality to it. Now, the whole Nagasaki and Hiroshima thing, that actually killed all believability. And let's be honest, if that was real, it's just a really shitty thing to do in any stretch of the imagination. Passing it off as an Easter egg is dumb as all hell, so I'm pretty sure this creepypasta is already fake at that, point. But throughout it all, there are certain points where it reaches sort of cringe central. There are certain points where, it sort of gets away from this awesome, sort of creepypasta vibe that it has built up with, these weird injections of this Metal Gear Solid 3 style, everyone's watching you dead and all this weird stuff. It just seems kind of hammered into the point where, they could have dealt with, they could have had a lot more subtlety and made this a lot better, in my honest opinion. Now, I've tried to get this captured for you, try to see if this is actually a real thing, because, apparently some people believe this is a real thing. Maybe that could be a joke by some trolls, but I don't know. I tried to get this captured, but unfortunately I don't have the unpatched version of the game. All I have is a Steam copy, and that version alone requires many patches, and mods, and external support to get running on modern PCs. It's just an older title, generally. Now, I have an old friend of mine who's also an avid Fallout fan, and, well, let's be honest, as a person who is also a big PC gamer, apparently, and I did not know this, he actually has a classic gaming PC build, just for titles like these. And he has confirmed that no, you cannot do this. So that's really all the proof I need, and truth be told, I haven't seen this anywhere else. So I'll go with the impression that with a game as popular as Fallout 2 is, and if I don't see any of this secret ending by anyone else, it's pretty much false. I mean, it has to be. Now, as far as the Brownian noise goes, this is a pretty important factor of the creepypasta. In fact, it even ended on this note too. So let's go over what it is. Brown noise can also be called red noise. And what it is if you took the white noise and basically smoothed it over. Now, its spectral density is rather inverse in this, option, which basically means that it has more energy at a lower frequency. It's reduced by 6 decibels per octave, 20 in a decade, and, well, just listen to it. It kind of feels less harsh, so to speak. Now, this is used in the ending, but which, in my opinion, is kind of a weird cop-out, and it actually felt entirely irrelevant. As a whole, I felt this creepypasta had a solid beginning, but ultimately it was a half-chub. It tapered off at the end and almost hit cringe central, again, like I mentioned earlier, but I'm glad it didn't hit that level, and I don't know whether a special score of luck was necessarily high, or it was a mysterious help of a certain stranger. I think we all can be a little bit happy. There are points in this creepypasta where it does go great, where it feels like a real sort of gaming creepypasta, something you can, huddle up and sort of hear and say, wow, that could have actually happened in Fallout, or my god, that's actually really, really creepy to think about it in the game, if the developers could have actually tossed it in, and not necessarily may not have had to exist, but it should have kept that technical believability so that it would have creeped us out. It shouldn't just give us these, sites such as, Nagasaki and Hiroshima victims, which, okay, it doesn't make any sense why that would be in the game. And then it would toss us, these players that would be dead. And I mean, granted, it was cool in Metal Gear Solid 3, but it doesn't really fit the bill in Fallout 2, I guess, so to speak. And the whole game being able to track your save file across computers, which is pretty fucking stupid. Alright, you reach a level of technical nonsense where, if you have any bit of technical know-how in how things work on computers, and you read that, well, it kind of kills any believability, and whatever you were thinking about the creepypasta sort of dies down. But as a whole, alright, when you sort of take yourself out of that general, when you put yourself into the general populace of the readers, it works fine. It definitely is a decent Fallout creepypasta. It may not be the best, definitely not the best. There are some more decent out there that, I'll get to eventually. They're just a little kind of weird with how they're laid out. But this was Fallout 2, a game that doesn't really get much love in the creepypasta. Hell, it doesn't get any love really in the creepypasta community, I guess you could say, with, being a Fallout game ripe for the creepypasting, I guess, so to speak. That being said, this has been another episode of Haunted Gaming, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about Fallout 2's secret ending. It doesn't actually exist, don't worry. And let me know what you would change to make it better, and what would you rate it. This is me, Mood Horror, and, well, I am out.